Hey guys, this is Ainsley Heilich from Vintage Karma, and today I want to talk to you about one of my favorite new Instagram pages. It is called TattooedTruthFairy, and I want to apologize in advance for this video being shot in that vertical profile versus landscape. Instagram does not rotate screens, so we're kind of stuck with it for this video. Anyway, this account has been around for roughly a month or so. Let's go back to the first image here. So yeah, just about a month. So this account is specifically to call out the latest fad of photoshopping your fresh tattoos into something that is unrecognizable as being a tattoo or being just possible within the realm of tattooing. And the interesting thing about that is back when I started tattooing about 15 years ago, if you were caught doing any sort of photo manipulation to your images in your profile or in your portfolio rather, you would pretty much be blackballed from the industry. That was a huge no-no. And it continued to be a no-no up until it seems like to be about like a year or so ago. Some of these really Instagram famous artists started kind of coming on the scene with these tattoos that were just beyond what, just with these images that were beyond what was possible on the human body. And the sad thing is a lot of these tattooers are wonderful artists in their own right, and if they just let their work stand for itself as opposed to manipulating the image within an inch of its life, they would still be very successful artists. But things have gotten so competitive and everybody's just trying to get that next little edge that they've taken to trickery to try to make them look like, this even more impossible expectation. And the problem with that is that by creating this false idea of what is possible in tattooing, then people bring these images to us and want their tattoos to look like that, and then we have to explain to them that that's not humanly possible, it's faked. And they, a lot of people might not even believe us or think that we're trying to cover for the fact that we can't accomplish that on skin. But the reality is it's just being misleading. So I'm going to start with the latest post. The artist Elliott Coe, this tattoo on the left had previously been called out on the page with a healed photo on the right. What the moderator of this tattoo page is doing is looking up photos that I'm doing like just a real deep creep of what the people who've gotten the tattoos, looking at their profiles on Instagram, and if they see a picture of them, they're taking a screenshot of it to show the comparison. So this artist sent a photo of the healed version in its natural state with it just, the appropriate way you're supposed to ethically photograph a tattoo in natural light with, just some moisturizer on it to make the skin not be so ashy looking. And as tattoos heal, they will kind of settle and look different from when they are fresh. But the extreme on the left is creating that false idea of what things look like. The tattoo on the right, the healed product, it's awesome. It's a great piece. It's very well executed. But you could see how on the left, they've just really just punched those blacks back and dialed the whites up so it's just perfect crisp white. On a fresh tattoo, white is not going to look that white. It's going to be, bloody, kind of muddied up a little bit. It's not going to look perfect paper white. And one of the funny comments that somebody had on there was about you could tell that this is photo manipulated because the neck of that client even was photo manipulated. It's all gray looking if you look up on the top there. But at least this artist, is acknowledged that they're being called out and showing the actual image. However, this artist is failing to say anything about the fact that they are digitally manipulating their tattoos after they've done the tattoo to make it look like something different. I will now go to the original call out post, which is down here. So one thing that TattooedTruthFairy is kind of doing that I don't quite agree with, which is almost like tabloidish, is they're showing basically like the worst possible healed images, and that might just be because that's all they have access to that they're catching. But this healed image is definitely being photographed not in the best light. It's probably not moisturized. It's not really giving an accurate representation like the other one that was first showed to you. So let's back up a little bit and go back up to the top here. This one, obviously the healed image is terrible, so it's really hard to give it a good side-by-side comparison. This one here, however, is a pretty good. It almost looks like the tattoo on the right is on a completely, it almost looks like when you see like a Trace Master tattoo, like one of the ones that's like somebody just flat out copies a tattoo that somebody else did without a care. It almost looks like that. The difference is so extreme. But you can tell that it's the same tattoo based off of on the top left side, there's a little bit of a shamrock, and you can still see it in the healed version. So what they've done in the first picture is they've just blacked out everything around it to make that drop off where the bottom of I guess the top jaw there, the teeth area, where that would be just, they make those knuckles just blacked out, dropping off back into perspective, so it almost creates this like lift off kind of effect. And they once again have desaturated the image, which is totally fine for black and gray tattoos. I do it myself because fresh tattoos are red sometimes, and if it's black and gray, you need to kind of tone back that saturation to make it look a little bit more like a black and white photo. But they've also gone in and they've hit the contrast really heavily, and they've blackened those blacks significantly, whitened those whites significantly to make everything look just perfect and clean. And then once you get to the healed tattoo, you can see how that's not the case. And especially with hands are very difficult to get a good perfect heal out of, but it's just to show something that looks so amazing and then to see the reality of it, it creates a misleading image to people that are getting tattooed of what's possible. This artist, they actually posted a healed video, which I'll click over to in a moment. But the funny thing with this one is, great artist, great tattoos. However, what they've circled here is this artist got a little bit sloppy with their photoshopping, and you could see where their brush tool that they were using to burn and dodge their tattoo to photo edit it, you can still see the circles from the brush. I'm going to kind of zoom in here. So what you can see in the circled areas are these hard circles, kind of those faint circle shapes. Those are from the tool on Photoshop. And so that, just proof that they were going through and trying to manipulate the image to make it look different. And I'm going to click over to the actual tattoo. So here's a video of it healed. It looks fantastic, and really there's no reason that they should have been, should have to go through and do that sort of trickery. The tattoo, in reality, it's a lot softer and looser than what they were trying to depict, but it's still a fantastic tattoo, but it's not what they were showing. totally trying to show, you know, a different thing. This one here is by somebody who obviously is not as talented an artist as most of these people that are on this call off page. So they pretty much just cut and pasted the original Tupac image over top of the tattoo there. So that's just a flat out cut and paste job there to make the the portrait look more accurate than it really was. So yeah, it doesn't even have who the original artist is on that, but it's just a bad tattoo all around. This is a good example of showing how they're using these tools to darken areas and lighten areas and smooth and blend areas where you can see here, you know, it's fresh, it's rough, there's some, you know, blotchy areas because when a tattoo is fresh, there's going to be different patterns of irritation. And here they've just used this smoothing tool to just blend everything together to look like it's just this soft, smoky, you know, just zero pores of the skin available to see or anything. And so you just know that looking at it that there's, if it's a fresh tattoo and you can't see open pores, that's usually a kind of a giveaway that, you know, if there's no irritation, there's no pores, there's no, you know, no needle marks or anything, it's probably been, you know, blended out and smoothed out. This one is the kind of like the one that started it all. There's a closer up image further down on the page where they have this, Arlo did this really cool Travis Barker tattoo, and on the left is the original image, and then on the right is the photo manipulated image. And there's this large field of white that's on the left. You can see it's irritated, it's red, it's bloody. That's how it's supposed to look. And then on the right, it's just perfect clean paper white. And it's kind of hard to see in this one. And they even Photoshop out the bottle in the hands that are kind of pointing to it. So over here, you know, zoom in a little bit, you know, this guy's kind of like, hey, pointing. And that looks like what a fresh tattoo should look like. And then you get over to here, they even Photoshopped out the bottle. But yeah, that white isn't going to look like that. So let's zoom down to the bottom real quick and get to another close-up of how they manipulated this image to make those whites look perfect paper white and have no irritation, no redness, no open pores, no texture or swelling or anything. And white is a great tool in tattooing. It's, you know, just adds that extra little kind of magic on top. But you can't just saturate a full area of white like this and expect it to look that great long term. And this kind of gives the idea that, oh yeah, this is totally possible. So I do wish that, you know, at some point this page can get a healed, accurate photo of this tattoo to see what this whole area looks like at the top, where it's kind of, you know, translucent in these overlapping images with all this just white. Here's another one. It, you know, once again, the healed photo is not the most flattering, best shot in the world of it. You can still make out what it is. It's still a fantastic tattoo, but the nuances of the one on the left just are not based in reality. This one is a great example. This is one that clients bring me a lot, that they're, you know, think is a great example of something of what they would like and what inspires them. And the healed photo on the right is probably pretty accurate. You know, maybe it's a little too, you know, overexposed, but I think, you know, within reason, like that's probably how that tattoo looks, you know, maybe a little bit darker, a little bit more contrast, and it's still a great looking tattoo. Absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's just fantastic looking. However, the glowiness of the eyes and the sails and with the white, it's just, that's not how it's, you know, that's not how it looks fresh on skin, and that's not how it looks healed. I wish it did, you know, that'd be awesome, but it just doesn't. Let's go up to this one here. You know, another, you know, the one on the right is probably pretty close to how it looks healed. On the left, you know, those glowy looking, the waves crashing over the girl in the water, and the glowy kind of that off that rock and that ship, that kind of foggy glowy look that's just so clean, and there's no irritation or bloodiness to it. And, you know, once again, it's just super photo manipulated. And you could even see on the face of the woman how the midtones, the like where the cheek are, like they've just faded out to not really much of anything. It totally looks different. The white that's underneath the chin there is totally not visible at all in the healed image. This one, another one, it's a, you know, probably with a more flattering photo, it probably looks a lot better than it does in that one, but the one on the right, which is the photo manipulated one, it's got, the background is all black coming up to it, and then you can't tell where the background, the black of the background starts and where the black of the tattoo begins, and it's kind of creates this almost jumping off the skin look, and it doesn't, you know, it just gives like a false impression. Like the mouth looks fantastic in the healed one. I mean, you know, if it was maybe a better lit photo, it probably looks even better than this. This one has been photoshopped within an inch of its life. The healed one looks like it was already posted on a different page, Healed Tattoo Work, and that's a good Instagram to follow, at Healed Tattoo Work, to give people a more accurate idea of what things look like healed. And it looks fantastic. The healed version is great. There's definitely, or it might not even be healed. It looks like actually it's on a plastic armrest, so it's probably just fresh, but it really looks fresh and it looks fantastic. But then you look at how it looks on the fresh real photo, the unedited photo, versus the left-hand side where it's so photoshopped that you can't even tell it's on a round surface. It looks like a flat image on a flat surface, almost like taking like a photoshopped image and placing it on a flat cutout of, you know, a arm or leg shaped piece of wood. It just looks almost airbrushed on. There's no glare, there's no irritation. And when you're taking a photograph of a tattoo, it's really difficult to get a perfect shot, because getting those shiny areas is definitely part of it. And I use a polarized filter for my camera on my for my pictures, and I have a polarized filter that I put over my light even, and I still get glare. And so to get a tattoo with no irritation, no glare, no shine from any of the weepy pores or anything, it's just not accurate at all. So it's still a dope tattoo, and it'll probably look dope once it's healed, but just shows the real thing. So let me do one more tattoo, and let's see. Let's do this one here. This is a great example of definitely blacks not being as black as they're depicted, and whites not being as white as they're depicted. And yes, the tattoo on the left is the photo is a little bit too bright, but you can tell it's a fantastic tattoo, but it's not nearly as dramatic as the one on the right with all the fire glow kind of illuminating everything. And it's a great tattoo, but it's not as crazy, like, how do you do that, as the one that's been photoshopped. And here we go to close. This is a shot that they wanted to include as a actual accurate representation of what a tattoo can kind of look like, with the kind of like almost like an appropriate amount of what photo editing does happen. So the ones from the video on the left, and then on the right is from the photograph. So with the photograph, they were able to probably catch it to not be quite as irritated looking, and they probably did a little bit of tweaking of the photo with contrast and saturation. But you can see from the left to the right, it looks pretty darn spot on, other than that irritation, which might be, you know, when you're doing a video and, you know, a couple seconds go by and that the blood starts coming back to the surface where those whites are. But I think this is kind of gives a more fair assessment of what, you know, what is possible and what the accurate image is of the tattoo. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and as this page adds more images, I'll be sure to get back into it with you guys. And if you want to follow this page on Instagram, it is at TattooedTruthFairy. And also make sure you give me a follow on Instagram at Vintage Karma. And if you have any requests for videos or anything, just drop me a DM, or you could just leave a comment on the video. And make sure you like the video and subscribe to the page for more tattoo videos. And yeah, so have a great night.